Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's time for more Workers and Resources. I'm your lovely host, Kelvin, and I hope you're all doing well today. I finally figured out a meat setup that kind of works. It still needs a distro office, and they'll sort out the rest later, but we have a train here that can deliver crops to this warehouse, to these 4 livestock farms, and then... Oh, I fucked up. How did I not see this? I forgot to put a road. Okay, well, you know what? That's not the biggest problem. Demolish it. Just... Unfortunately, I can't cross the streams later. So... that's fine. Everyone just have at it. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. Today, we've got the chemical plant online. Kind of, anyway. It's not producing a ton a lot of the time. Like, this is just sort of phase 1 of the chemicals setup. And it's good enough. It's good enough. For now, I need to set up local distribution hubs. That is the next goal. Every single city is going to need a couple of things. Like, so far I have been giving them the warehouses and all that they need for storing, their alcohol, their food, and their clothes, for the most part. Zamox's got these two and all that. This one does Kelvin and Loom. But, we need a small meat storage. How do I actually want to do this? Because I'm trying to think of the easiest sort of way for this. I can have them be separate buildings. They don't technically have to be together. But if I could combine it, it would be a little bit easier. And, you know what? No. I'm not going to bother combining it. It's fine. Alright, so every single city, I'm going to get one in Kelm. It just has to be close by. And it has to be powered because it's a meat storage. So, Kelm, Zamosk, Lubin. The exacts of where it lands isn't too important, but we'll try and put it decently centralized. So that's another one. Radom will need one. It definitely does not need that good of a road, though. Okay. And finally, Terraspol will need one. And then I'll have to do this again, but with the warehouses. What's outside of... Like I said, the thing I really just need to remember is that it needs electricity, you know? At least this one does. Everything else is pretty secondary, honestly. There we go. Alright, so these meat storages are going to be connected up to a distribution office that will be here at the meat farm that will distribute meat to those. Individually, from here on out, once they're done anyway, the stores that, have these meat trucks, they're going to get the smaller, faster meat trucks and deliver 3.5 tons of meat at a time to the shopping center or whatever as needed. And each of those meat storages is going to, fill up and have 75 tons available and will be kept full by much larger but potentially slower trucks out here that, make the trip on a less frequent basis to meet the needs of everything. Similar state of affairs with chemicals and the water treatment plants. Although, citizen health's gonna be super low here. Don't let people move into these buildings. You know? Oh dear God, we've hundreds of people dead of flat. Yeah, that'll happen. Anyway. And by hundreds, I mean actually almost thousands. So yeah, this thing is barely honestly working, which is fine. Almost all of the railroad here has been built, which is perfect. Unfortunately, I think the railroad builder kind of got a little distracted over here, putting the finishing touches on the meat railway, which is fine. But yeah, as I said though, we need to do a similar setup, but this time with the teeniest, tiniest warehouse I have. Because really, it's going to be chemicals. How many fucking tons of chemicals am I going to need? The answer is not a lot. Like, arguably, I can probably still get away with just running lines, but from at least from a localized hub. Yeah, given just how much like chemicals are needed, I think having a railway connected central hub for the chemicals that can just service, say, this Tri-City area, we'll have one for Radom and one for Terraspol. It's probably fine. So, it can be made as consideration, I think. Unfortunately, then I'd ideally like to use this one, which, I don't know. I guess there are other ones that are potentially better. Because, yeah, there's these early start ones. That's not bad, actually. 120 tons of chemicals, that's fine. So yeah, we would set up a little local distribution system here. We'll do it same shtick here. How many do you have? Actually, you have 2 slots for vehicle loading and unloading. That is huge. That actually makes you better than the warehouse I usually use. Fun fact. Oh. But yeah. Chemical train we'll be able to set up. No problem. Good. Alright. I've been doing a bit more paving as well. I've decided I want to be able to hook up Chemicil to the industrial district with asphalt roads. So that's kind of getting worked on. It's taking a while, but it will get done eventually. I'm not too worried. It's unfortunately just tying up a lot of my dumper trucks. Alright. Now, as we get the rest of this all taken care of, I'm thinking I want to tear this down and just have this hook in directly. Like, it's fine. Alright. Yeah, as we get the local distribution hubs set up, we'll be good. I do need to place at least 2 more warehouses. I can't forget that. Right, where in the hell can I set up one for Terraspol? You know, Terraspol is pretty decently far. That one already had a terminal split. This is a little too short for a terminal split. This can have a terminal split off, that's fine, yeah. I really shouldn't have a terminal split off at the refueling station, but because there is conveniently a roundabout right there, I think that's actually fine. Because then it will maintain itself having a path. I never even did, like, one-way set up this, because I think it was causing problems when I did. Because the coaling trains are slightly too long or whatever. Which is hilarious. Alright. So yeah. That will be that warehouse. So this services Tri-City. And then I need a final split off over here for Radom. The Radom Railway is not in great shape in terms of development, but I'm sure we can make it work. You could probably have a terminal split off here without any problems. Okay. Actually, do I want to be hooking up the meat via train? Do I do meat delivery via train? That's actually a very good question. Unfortunately, because I've only just come up with that now. Probably not. No meat delivery by train. Meat delivery by train to, like, no. I'll get, like, probably a better setup for meat later as I continue to expand. But right now, this is really just more to help keep us going, so. Inevitably, because this is my plan for a temporary solution, it will become permanent in a matter of time. Is it heating pipes? It's always the damned heating pipes, ain't it? It's always the damned heating pipes. Come on, I even raised the ground a little bit. Give me a break. There. Can I get this to hook in? Is that any issue? That would just be asking too much, wouldn't it? Nothing is ever easy to place. This godforsaken system. Alright. I mean, I guess this has to work. It'll do. Oh, don't give me that shit. Flatten it out. Let's go. Oh my god, are you really gonna do this? Try and do this to me? Alright, so the heating pipes are blocking even this. Alright. The only thing I can think to do is, like, some terrain leveling. I just kind of have to pull up all the terrain around here, so that way it's roughly even, and that basically buries the pipe deeper. In practice, anyway. So that should help. Of course, then maybe getting the road up here might be a bit of a problem. But, you know. Best I could maybe do. This really is doing this, isn't it? Oh my god. Alright. So, new friggin' plan. Where am I putting this? Okay, I'm gonna try maybe here. And just hope for the goddamn best. Oh, don't too steep of an incline me. Okay, this'll do. There. God, I hate this system sometimes. Alright. Still, that covers a lot there. Alright. And that's... I did put down a meat storage, right? I think it's over here, yeah. I think meat by train may still happen. But, well, I'm still going to do the last mile by truck. So, like, I might set up at these warehouses a meat storage as well. Yeah, that does kind of make sense, actually. Because then it hooks into the RDO network. And then that lets me just have the distribution office handle it. Yeah, that makes sense. That does, in fact, make sense. Because when a train comes here, it should just be able to deliver to the adjoining storages as well without problem. So, it's certainly a thought. Yeah. Alright. We're gonna make a quick cut here while this stuff builds, and we'll be right back. Alright. It's snowy. Unfortunately, the internal distribution office is starting to cap out. I am going to have to expand the system more than I would like in the near future. But we'll see in the meantime. For last mile, I think this may have actually been a mistake, because then, you know... what I should probably do is rename this so I actually know it. Lubin... Kelm... what the fuck is that city's name again? Zaborsk? Distro. Zamosk, almost. Alright. So... maybe I should use that, I don't know. That's always tough. We've kind of got these coming along now. I'm really just debating if... yeah, well, no, I'm not debating. I've also figured out I'm going to do the last mile thing. I'm just still trying to figure out exactly how. But this is getting pretty close to being hooked onto the network. I'm trying to think what the best way to handle this is. I think I need a chemical warehouse. Jesus Christ. How is this even possible? Hold on. How have you fucked up the internal stand? That's not supposed to happen. You're all out of fuel and can't refuel, which is a problem, and I'll deal with that in time. Did they just start piling hazard waste into the internal stand? Like... for mixed? I guess so. God damn. Okay. Alright, so... I don't really want to have to put another fuel station out here. Because I do know that our fuel distribution network is effectively capped out at this point, at 20 out of 20. I can probably free up a couple, though. Like, if I get rid of that Kelm and Lubin one, and let the other one handle it a little better, it should hopefully improve. The downside is I really do need to start transitioning to a lot more regional networks, annoyingly close to at the same time, which is what hurts. If I only ever had to do one regional transition at once, it would be a million times easier. But it seems as if, though, everything kind of comes apart at the exact same moment, which is unfortunate. We'll have a gas station out here for refueling. And that will be good. Yeah, road building is still underway. It is expected to take, unfortunately, quite some time. We're expanding outward on this one. Yeah. That's almost done. Good. For those, unfortunately, the southern road network's a little far from my construction core zone, so it'll do. We're struggling economically still. Yeah, mechanical components still dominates our exports. We unfortunately don't really export steel. Like, you'd be like, oh yeah, you should be exporting tons of steel. No. All of the steel is being used in construction at this point. Or to produce mechanical components, so it's going as fast as it can. No resources, iron. Oh no, is Radom dead again? Oh no, it's just a power exporting issue. Fair enough. Right, fair enough, carry on. I'm wondering if I do need like a dump across the street for this though. Or at the bare minimum, maybe just like a claw railway nearby that I can feed into. This one isn't too far away. And I think can hypothetically be linked up. Although it will definitely be a bit tougher than I'd like. You know? Definitely be a little tougher than I'd like. Okay. Pretty sure this is all gravel, unfortunately. Okay. Approve all that. So I think that should allow me to at least not have to worry too much about the mixed waste. Hazard, unfortunately, pretty much always has to be taken to the border. There's nothing I can do about it. We're not cleaning our waste yet. Although as we transition to a regional distribution network, that's also about the time where like handling our waste internally might become decently profitable. On the other hand, if we look at how much waste we actually do per month, in total it's never really worth it to deal with, you know? Like, I can set up dozens of workers, actually probably close to like 100 workers to handle my waste. But it'll only save me 60 grand a month. So it's barely worth it to do, which is a problem. Oh, good. Empty its fucking waste, will ya? Goddamn. Alright. Oh yeah, and this still hook in somewhere for when it gets rebuilt every so often. But yeah, the waste is at least getting carted off, so... Unfortunately, they're gonna take... It's all hazard waste, so none of it can be stored there and has to all be taken to the border. But it'll get cleaned up eventually. Alright. And with that taken care of, so is... Oops, a shot. I guess this warehouse is ready. Okay. Alright, so let's get things started. I'm still getting turned around so much. Okay. So, the chemical plant will be load. Honestly, maybe also unload crops there and gravel. I don't know. Not yet. Yep. Alright. So, the first chemical train should now be on its way. Apparently not. Is the internal distribution office overworked? Nope, oh, there it is. I mean, to be fair, it probably is. Oh no, I've given it like 8 trains. The import office gets a little bit overworked in the harvesting season, which we have tons of spare. Alright. So I want to finish this off real quick. Which this needs a gravel road between these two buildings. Then asphalt footpath, and then asphalt footpath. Good. Alright. So that now completes the meat building, or the meat district. Yeah. We'll need like some power out here, and I don't know. You guys do take a fair bit of water. But like we have spare water of Terrace Bowl. It's not really much of an issue. That's also good. That's in construction. Right on. Alright, that rail line is done. Alright. What else do you have to build? Alright, you have apparently one more unfinished railway. Yeah, you really should probably get on that. Okay. Not bad then. But yeah, if we can get this built, that actually will make these roads accessible. I also built this to help with that. The helicopters are still doing a pretty good job at like getting construction moving, while normally we would just be building the roads. So, 10 out of 10. Make sure we get that built. Alright. Let's also assign the helicopters to these. I think they'll help out a fair bit. Because they have some mechanisms to deliver. The Krasnit... I don't know. I don't even know what construction office is assigned to this. Krasnus law. Alright. But yeah, there's a lot of road work still to do. Yeah. We transported the chemicals, and have the chemicals arrived? They have. So, I have great news, everyone. Glorious news. So, instead of the Herbene Customs House, you will load your chemicals here. Alright, where's the kiln treatment plant? Good. You get to load your chemical here instead of the Dorhusk Customs House. And let's see, kiln. You'll load your chemicals here instead of the Dorhusk Customs House. Alright. So yeah, excellent news. 3 of our cities, including one of our more major urban districts, no longer relies on importing chemicals. which is very helpful. That should cut down on our chemical imports pretty significantly now. Alright. That still requires us to get that, which is actually pretty close. And Radom 1's done. Also pretty close. So those are almost done, which will let us kind of finish it. The problem, of course, is the internal distribution office is capped on stops. Like, this is the last that we can do with it, really. Which isn't a huge shock. Inevitably, as the Republic grows, the internal distribution system kind of also has to grow with it. So, I am going to need a chemicals distribution office for the next one. And then I'm going to need a meat distribution office. You know? Which isn't a huge shock, and part of why I've talked about needing to set up more infrastructure around Radom. Because of its more centralized location, it will let me have a much larger distribution area where it's feasible for me to continue that practice. Easier said than done always, but it's fine. Yeah. And then following this, we're just also going to have meat. Of course, the problem is, I guess, yeah, we can't really distribute meat by train yet. The distribution office is also overworked. Unfortunately, everything is overworked. And it's showing. Like, economically, we are not in good shape right now. But I'm hopeful that will change. You know? Supposedly, we still imported 11 tons of chemicals today. I'm trying to think. Where does the chemicals come from? And where do they go? There's the fabric factories that do consume a fair bit of chemicals. Where do you get your chemicals from? You get it from this warehouse, which has this MZ504 supplying it, which is fine. This MZ504 will need to start picking up its chemicals from here. Or, yeah, no, that's actually fine. Because this one's actually kind of in reverse. Alright. So that helps that industry core. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we have that uses chemicals. The problem is chemicals is just one of those things that I don't really consider too much. Stick production and consumption. Like, yeah, we used 16 tons of chemicals, 22 tons of chemicals last month. Okay. Outside of Terrace Pole, which currently isn't set up, and Radom, which currently isn't set up. Close, though. I can't think of any other uses for chemicals that we have right now. But I'll try and keep an eye on them. In theory, one of the better places to sort of check that is actually here. If, yeah, you have all related lines here. So yeah, you have the Radom water, and that one has chemicals on it. Okay. So, all the vehicles, there's no lines. Herbene. Meat and fuel, that's it. Okay. And Terrace Pole should still have probably 2 chemical lines, I assume? No, just that one. Where do you get your chemicals from? That's actually a good question. Terrace Pole Distribution Office? Yeah. That is fair. Okay. It is right next to the border, so I'd probably just set it up that way. I think probably the best way to set it up. But yeah. Good. But yeah, as a general rule now, the amount of chemicals we're importing is going to decrease pretty aggressively, and I'm hopeful that it's fine. 15. We imported 19 tons last month. We imported, thus far, 15 tons this month. We've imported 19 tons again this month. Yeah. It feels like the amount of chemicals I use, I'm trying to figure out where they are going wrong, but we'll see. Either way, 20 tons a month is no problem for this thing to produce. Unless everything goes to absolute shit, I guess. I don't know. Alright. Hold on, I just have to do something. Okay. Alright. So, what can I do about you? What is your problem, really? Mixed waste, nothing aside. Yeah, fair enough. I guess that might actually be the problem. Because you're supposed to have a path to here. Okay, that did actually get made, which is good. So this is just holding up 123 days. Yeah, it's going to be a while, I think, before a lot of this is done. But it should improve. Either way, I know I'm getting enough chemicals, it's not a problem. Even with all of the problems that exist, I'm getting enough chemicals. You know? Like, this month, if I even just go to my production, watch this. Yeah, 43 tons of chemicals. With the chemical plant literally barely operating, we've got ourselves covered. That chemical plant will be able to supply me forever. I will never need another one. You know? So I'm not even worried. Alright. It would be nice for me to have a better idea of what is actually consuming my chemicals, though. We'll see. Problem is, it's actually kind of tough to tell. Although this has gone pretty well, I've got to say. This has gone pretty well. At least our first bit of chemicals distribution has occurred. It's not a full network yet, but it is a start. You know, the meat storage depots are slowly coming online. The meat sector is also itself slowly coming online. There's a lot of work to do with this stuff, though, unfortunately. It's getting built. It'll just take time. The construction offices are doing their best. And to be fair, the system's holding. With such a cut, I assume we've had a cut to our, imports. I don't know, it's tough to say. Because, last month I had the chemicals set up for, half of it. And it seems like it had no effect, but that could just be that things are not, imported evenly each month, right? And so it's really hard to tell until I have a larger sample size. There might still be a few places where chemicals slip through, and I'll slowly be dealing with that. I mean, we're pretty close as is. We're pretty close as is. The helicopter. Yeah, the passenger helicopter construction office isn't assigned to these. Or to that one, anyway. This thing should get itself a nice crane and a pile of people arriving to help. Alright. But yeah, getting chemicals and meat out of the way was kind of the local goal. For local, but very time whatever. My goal for today, let's use more words. Yeah. This month so far, no chemicals imported. It's a good start. Like, I cut out the meat imports, and then I need to tackle the beast in the room. Fuel. No. Well, yes, fuel's probably the next step, because I am currently working on the oil field expansion. The oil field expansion is required to get the plastics factory and the oil refinery all operating nicely. From there, we start looking at the possibility of actually getting electronics, because then I'll actually have plastics. And we'll be setting up plastics assembly and electronics assembly and electronic components assembly before too long. 10th, and yeah, so far no chemical imports. That's good. Everything is proceeding. Come on, guys, build. Oh, there's a tower crane for you. It'll take no time at all with the tower crane. Alright. Like, even these 5 people, you can see how quick they built with a tower crane. It's nuts. We barely need workers in our construction sites anymore. And it's beautiful. I love this finished in no time. That's how we can even build these, is pretty much just the helicopters. Oh shit, look at that. Nice. Finally, some of the roadways are getting finished. Oh, wow, okay. Alright, I think it's probably where I'm going to call the episode. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm Vistula and Poland. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, folks. Have a good night.